The Israelite origins of the African slaves shipped to the New World is a disputed topic. West Africa, the largest contributor to the slave population, is a region with extensive political, ethnic, and religious diversity. Several countries call this region home, and among these Nigeria, the most populous African country, plays a very vital role. Nigeria itself consists of about 250 ethnic groups, among which the Hausa, the Igbo, and the Yoruba form the three largest groups. Interestingly, these three tribes trace their ancestry to migrations from the east. Some segments of the Hausa population track their ancestral migrations from the Yemeni area, while the Igbo claim ancestry from Eri, the son of God and grandson of Jacob. It is the Yoruba, however, that I will like to draw your attention to today, the Uni of Ife. One of the two principal monarchs of the Yoruba has claimed ancestral background from the Middle East. Indeed, the Yoruba people have long claimed migration from the Middle East through Egypt and Morocco. Several historians have searched for evidence to back this claim, with some confirming it based on history and cultural practices. I decided to take a closer look at this issue and compare the Yoruba with the ancient Israelites using the Bible as a cross-reference. I will briefly explain my findings and ask the viewers to make their own independent assessments. I will point out that no single feature of the Yoruba people presented here is definitive proof of their Israelite ancestry. Together, however, the features enumerated below make a compelling argument in support of their Hebrew origins. I have divided these into three parts: historical, cultural, and religious features. At this point, I would like to encourage you to subscribe to our channel so that we can continue to publish content like this. For centuries, the Yoruba people have been shrouded in mystery, their identity obscured by the sands of time. However, a closer examination of historical records reveals a captivating narrative that spans continents and empires. The Hausa people, renowned historians of the region, first referred to the Yoruba as Yariba, meaning the father's name is among the people of the forest. But who were these enigmatic people, and what secrets lie hidden in their past? Oral traditions whisper tales of the B'nai Ephraim, a group of Jewish refugees who fled Morocco after the devastating expulsion from the Iberian Peninsula in 1492. The Catholics were not as tolerant to religious freedom as the Moors had been, so the Jews came streaming into Africa in large numbers. Between 1492 and 1692, some of these refugees settled in the environs of Lagos and Porto Novo, with a large number being integrated into various tribes in the region. These Iberian Jews, who are believed to be descendants of the Judeans that fled before the Romans in 70 AD, were thought to be joining ancient Israelites that had been living in Nigeria and other African countries for several millennia, possibly descended from the Israelites who left Assyria about 722 BC. We previously described these latter Israelites in our video on Nazareth's connection to the 10 lost tribes. An Islamic jihad from North Africa further pushed these Jewish empires southwards, eventually settling in areas extending from Senegal to present-day Central African Republic. As their territories moved and the empire fell, the Israelite tribes integrated many of the local tribes into their numbers. They consequently became a mixed multitude composed of many autonomous subgroups and dialects ruled by numerous princes and kings. Fast forward to the present, and we find the Yoruba people, a vibrant and resilient kingdom, proudly inhabiting the regions once known as Dahomey and the Blight of Benin. Their dark skin and woolly hair a testament to their complex ancestry. They have absorbed the influences of returnee slaves, local tribes, and royal dynasties. The Oyo and Ifa kingdoms, once rival powers, now stand as a united testament to the Yoruba spirit. As we delve into the tumultuous era of the transatlantic slave trade, a poignant narrative emerges. Between 1441 and 1840, millions of Africans were forcibly transported from the west coast, with the Yoruba and Igbo people bearing the brunt of this brutal exploitation. Yet, amidst the darkness of slavery, a fascinating parallel emerges. The Yoruba system of princes and kings, still thriving today, echoes the ancient Israelite tradition of steward princes, tasked with mediating disputes and developing their communities. This merit-based leadership, where the crown is not limited to one family, resonates with the biblical account of Israel's princes, chosen for their wisdom and dedication to serving the people. Numbers 144. As we explore the Yoruba tradition, we find that the Yoruba king's role extends beyond ruler to chief priest of the supreme God, ensuring a sacred connection between leadership and spirituality. The unbroken lineage of the Araba priestly clan in Ife, the cradle of Yoruba civilization, stands as a testament to this enduring legacy. And this clan mirrors the Aaronic priestly order in ancient Israel. Ancient maps, predating the USGS by centuries, reveal a shocking presence of Hebrews and Jews across the region. A kingdom of Judah thrived on the West African coast, while the sons of Ephraim, B'nai Ephraim, called the Yoruba lands home. Levite cities flourished in modern-day northern Nigeria. These maps weren't just geographical guides. They were likely used by slave traders to target Hebrew and Jewish communities for the transatlantic slave trade. The existence of these maps proves that Western powers knew of the significant Hebrew and Jewish presence in West Africa. Even the renowned historian Josephus hinted at the 10 tribes' whereabouts, acknowledging their large numbers in an undisclosed location. The Romans recognized the Jews as a dark-skinned people, making it likely they discovered the tribe's new home. The truth is clear. The lost Israelite tribes were found long before the slave trade began, and the Yoruba people were at the heart of their territory. The apocryphal book of Su Esdras 13:40-46 gives us the reason the 10 tribes abandoned Assyria and refused to return to Israel in 722 BC. It wasn't about geography or politics, but about freedom to preserve their identity. At the heart of Hebrew culture lies circumcision, a symbol of the sacred covenant between the patriarch Abraham and Elohim. This ancient practice predates the law of Moses and has been a cornerstone of Hebrew tradition. Abraham's descendants, including Ishmael and Isaac, continued this practice, passing it down through generations. It is so important and central to the covenant that God sought to kill Moses when he did not circumcise his sons in Exodus 4:24-26. History has also shown that circumcision was often used to identify Jews during their many conflicts with the heathen nations. I think it is therefore logical to expect that the Israelites would still practice circumcision to this day. But here's the astonishing connection. The Yoruba tribe, with a staggering 90% male circumcision rate, follows this exact same tradition. Circumcision on the 8th day of birth, just like the Israelites. This isn't a coincidence. The Yoruba people have woven circumcision into the fabric of their culture, with proverbs, songs, and adages that celebrate this ancient practice. One revealing phrase, "Wan ko ra wan sita bi omo ijo mejo," meaning, "Their secrets are laid bare like an 8-day-old baby," exposes the depth of their tradition. And remarkably, Many Yoruba women believe that intimacy with an uncircumcised man is unthinkable. The evidence is clear. The Yoruba people have preserved this vital piece of Israelite heritage hidden in plain sight. So, let's go further and delve into the secrets of Yoruba baby naming ceremonies, where every name tells a story. In this ancient tradition, parents don't just choose a name, they uncover a prophecy. Every child's name is carefully selected based on the circumstances of their birth or a divine message about their life's purpose. On the 8th day, on the morning of the circumcision ceremony for boys, the naming process takes place. We see this pattern of circumcision and naming ceremonies in the lives of Jesus and John the Baptist in Luke 1-2. And the Yoruba names themselves, they're a window into the soul. From Taiwo, meaning first twin, to Oluwase, meaning God did this, each name holds a deep significance. Babatunde means the child was born after the recent death of a father or grandfather, and Ayabodi means mother has returned, implying that the grandmother died just before the baby girl was born. We see this in Genesis 4:25, when Seth, meaning placed or replaced, was born after Abel's death. But are there other connections to the Israelites? The Bible reveals a similar pattern. Names like Peleg, meaning earthquake, and Noah, meaning rest in Genesis 5:29, held prophetic meaning. In Noah's time, the people believed that they were finally living under a dispensation of God's grace. Even Moses' name tells the story of his miraculous rescue from the water. In Genesis 9, we see the prophecies that were proclaimed on Noah's children. Shem, meaning name, will be the one to bear the name of the Most High. Japheth, meaning expansion, is the one who would seize the lands of his brothers, and Ham, meaning black, was dark like burnt charcoal. The ancient naming tradition was more than just a coincidence. It's a testament to a shared cultural heritage. The Yoruba people, like the Israelites, believe that names hold the power to shape destiny. Beyond their meaningful child naming traditions, the Yoruba people have also infused their geography with intriguing names. Let's embark on a journey to uncover the possible connections. Consider Ishaga. Could it be a nod to the tribe of Issachar? Or Iju, which bears a striking resemblance to the word Jew, hinting at a link to the tribe of Judah? And what about Ibadan, which translates to campsite of Dan? The parallels are undeniable. In Lagos, we find even more captivating examples. Yaba, meaning father, and Apatira, which combines Apa, meaning ward or district, with Tira, or Torah, have led some to suggest a settlement of Jewish faithfuls. The implications are profound. Are these naming similarities mere coincidence, or do they reveal a deeper cultural connection? I'll ask you to be the judge of that. In the past, Yoruba parents would often find a suitable wife for their son, sometimes starting their search when he was just a boy. Today, people still jokingly ask for a newborn girl's hand in marriage for their toddler son. However, modern times have brought a significant shift. Now couples typically get to know each other before their parents facilitate the legal aspects of the union. The bride's family still conducts a thorough investigation. Understanding a person's family history and background is crucial. Until recently, the Yoruba people would not intermarry with certain tribes or countries. One thing is absolute: marriage between blood relatives is strictly forbidden. This sets the stage for a fascinating exploration of Yoruba marriage traditions, where ancient customs meet modern love. The Yoruba people have a traditional espousal system involving a dowry payment to the bride's family, typically in the form of money and goods. If the bride is found to be faulty, such as not being a virgin or pregnant by another man, the dowry can be returned to the groom, although this is rare today due to common premarital sex practices. The traditional ceremony takes place at the bride's family residence, starting with an introduction where the groom's family states their intentions. If accepted, a betrothal date called Idana is set. The groom's family requests the bride's hand in marriage, not the groom himself. During the Idana, the bride's family awaits the groom's family, who sometimes arrive late, a phenomenon referred to as African time. The bride and her maidens wait separately and enter the venue after the groom arrives. We see a parallel to this in the parable of the 10 virgins in Matthew 25. The maidens then escort the groom in. The groom's family presents an official proposal, and the bride's family responds with acceptance. A contract is signed after both parties agree to the espousal and dowry. This marks the completion of the espousal process, and the marriage can be consummated. This traditional process has its roots in Hebrew customs, as seen in the stories of Samson, Judges 14:1-4, Isaac, Genesis 24:2-67, and Genesis 38:6. However, modern weddings often incorporate Christian, Muslim, or civil ceremonies, depending on the bride's family's faith. After the Idana, the bride and her friends proceed to the groom's house for the marriage consummation. She is prayed for, and her feet are washed to purify her from any uncleanness or bad luck. This washing is insinuated at the marriage feast in Cana of Galilee, John 2:6. An igba, or calabash, is given to her, which she breaks, signifying the number of children she will have. It is striking to note that in Ashkenazi Jewish weddings, there is a breaking of glass routine, though symbolizing a different purpose. The marriage tradition involves guests waiting outside the marriage chamber until the groom emerges with a blood-stained sheet to confirm the bride's virginity and the marriage's validity. This is reflected in Israelite laws of marriage consummation, seen in Deuteronomy 22:17-21. Let's now examine the significance of the wedding garment in Yoruba culture. This vibrant tradition brings the wedding party together, as the bride's and groom's families and guests all wear distinct cloth materials and colors. The full wedding attire is crafted from this fabric, and only those wearing it are welcomed at the marriage feast. The garment serves as a badge of honor, identifying you as a member of the wedding party. Servers will only serve you food once they recognize your garment, making it a symbol of unity and celebration. Even guests who cannot afford a new garment can participate, using the material or color code for their traditional headgear. In some cases, the fabric is simply gifted to those who can't afford to pay for it. This timeless tradition echoes the parable of the king's son in Matthew 22:11-14, where the wedding garment represents spiritual preparedness. Another interesting ritual is the ancient tradition of purification after childbirth in Yoruba culture. For 40 days, a new mother devotes herself to healing and bonding with her child, absent from worship and public life. If her child is a boy, the father brings him for circumcision on the 8th day, while mother often stays at home to complete her purification. The baby naming ceremony is done at her home. After the 40th day, she joyfully returns to the house of God, presenting her baby to the congregation in a heartfelt Thanksgiving ceremony. This timeless tradition echoes the ancient Israelite custom in Leviticus 12, where purification and gratitude entwine. Historical records reveal that a Yoruba man would marry his deceased brother's wife, a practice rooted in Deuteronomy 25:5. However, having children with her was not obligatory. In ancient Israel, the firstborn from such a union would carry on the deceased brother's name, as seen in Deuteronomy 25:6. Although this practice is no longer observed among the Yoruba today, its legacy remains a captivating glimpse into the past. Let's now explore the timeless tradition of polygamy in Yoruba culture, where having multiple wives is a common and accepted practice. This ancient system predates the arrival of Islam and is embraced by people of various faiths, including Christians, Muslims, and practitioners of traditional African religion. The Bible itself is replete with examples of polygamy, from the patriarch Jacob's 4 wives, Leah, Rachel, Bilhah, and Zilpah, in Genesis 49:9-10, to the stories of Boaz in Ruth 4, Gideon, Judges 8:30, and Abraham, Genesis 16:3. In Yoruba tradition, as with the Biblical Israelites, the first wife holds a special status as the wife of his youth, and her children receive the greater inheritance. This custom is echoed in the biblical accounts of Judah's blessing, Abraham's bequests, and the revered position of the Olori, the first wife of Yoruba kings. In contrast, monogamy is a relatively recent phenomenon, popularized by the economic pressures of capitalism and globalization. There is a fascinating world of twinning and twin culture among the Yoruba people. With the highest incidence of fraternal twinning pregnancy globally, Igbo Ora, a Yoruba city, is aptly named the Land of Twins. It is so common that a naming system has developed around it, and it's not uncommon to have a nuclear Yoruba family unit with 2 to 3 twin sets. But what drives this phenomenon? Research suggests a genetic factor, as dietary explanations fall short. The Yoruba's high twinning rate persists even among those born or living outside Nigeria, ruling out local food sources as the cause. This remarkable trend has biblical significance, echoing the blessing of Ephraim, whose name means double fruit. The Book of Jubilees reveals Ephraim as the younger twin brother of Manasseh, receiving the blessing of the firstborn. Remarkably, 18th century maps reveal a place, Benai Ephraim Right, where the Yoruba live today. Was twinning a mark that God used to identify Ephraim? Twinning was common among the patriarchs, with extra-canonical books like the Book of Jubilees naming several twin pairs. These include Cain and Abel, Leah and Rachel, Esau and Jacob, Manasseh and Ephraim, Phares and Zara. The Yoruba cultural practice of granting the second twin, the blessings of the firstborn mirrors, the stories of Jacob and Ephraim. There is a very interesting tradition around twinning among the Yorubas. According to the culture, the first twin to emerge is actually the younger that was sent to test the world by the elder. When the first has come out, then the elder will consider it safe to come out after. This is the origin of the names Taiyewo, meaning tasted the world, and Kehinda, meaning latecomer, given to the first and second twin, respectively. We can see this in the biblical story of Zara, who first sticks his hand out making him the elder, but then Phares emerges first, being the younger, before his brother finally arrives. Genesis 38:27-30. In concluding this video, we have looked at the history of Yoruba migration from the east, and we've highlighted maps that identified Israelite settlements in territories still occupied by the Yorubas today. We have also seen cultural practices like circumcision, baby naming ceremonies, marriage customs, including the concept of wedding garments and twinning traditions that bear remarkable resemblance to those of the Biblical Israelites. The combined historical and cultural traditions of the Yorubas enumerated in this video make a compelling case for their Israelites' origins. In our next video, we will look at the religious practices, including the biblical ephod, If you have enjoyed the contents of this presentation, please subscribe so you can get notified when we upload more content like this.